Right. Good morning, everyone. Um, my name is Keketo Matsuma, and yeah, it's 10 minutes past now, and I think it's time we get started with the workshop. So I will start with introducing myself. I work at MLab as a user interface designer and a user experience designer. So in this workshop, I hope to inform everyone, since I got a brief description of uh, that the participants of this workshop are startups. So my mission with this workshop is that I expose you guys to design thinking, its value, why you should consider it as a business person, even if you're not necessarily a designer. So it's a very incredible and crucial process to follow and use in your process of discovery, and as you engage with your users, to understand exactly how your business or your product is going to impact people's lives. So ultimately, their perspective of your product is ultimately going to become your reality. So I would like to start with introducing each, with brief introductions of each member, so that I can, get an understanding of each one and every one of you. What are you guys up to? What are you doing? What businesses are you running? So I can get a gist, so I can definitely give you information that's more relevant to your needs and wants than just us talking about a topic that you think mostly is not going to be very important to you. So are you guys comfortable with that? You can react by unmuting yourself and giving feedback, or by just choosing, there's a reactions section at the bottom of the tools there, and then you can react with a thumbs up or whichever reaction that you would like to see there. Awesome. Awesome.
Okay, hi, I'll go first. Good morning,
Awesome.
Kweketso. Good morning, team.
Good morning.
I am Lindy Wesomo, and I deal in a couple of businesses, but I'm in the poultry and as well as vegetables. And also I manufacture my own skincare products. And I'm also in retail. I sell clothing items. Yeah, that's some of the things I do.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Would someone else would like to go next?
Morning, Koketo. I'm David Mpashela. My company is Snowman Key. In most cases, it's a service provider dealing with electrification, where we're doing minoritic electrification, infields, maintenance, and so on, and other businesses. It specialized in all aspects, as a construction business, So today's digital, marketing is the one. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Sir David. Does anyone else volunteer to go next?
Morning, Pockets and everyone. I'm Dakaro Mahapa. And the name of my company is Dakalo Entertainment and Tours. So I've amalgamated entertainment together with tourism in my company, whereby in entertainment, I do artist management and also manage myself as an artist, as a poet, and also as a speaker. And in tourism, I do educational tours, vacations, and also bookings for corporates. And also I've extended it to multimedia printing of t-shirts, and yeah, that's what I do. Thanks.
Beautiful. Sounds good. I like the variety already. The variety of
Thank you.
business ideas. Sounds good. Anyone else would like to go next? All right. Can I call out Hotatso Nswani to speak about himself, please?
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
So sorry for joining a bit late. Yes. I just had the last speaker from Takalo. Are we talking about our companies and what we do?
Yeah, just a brief introduction of who you are, what you do, is your business, what business do you run? Yes.
Okay. My name is Hotatso Nswani. I am the founder and CEO of an online accommodation booking platform called stay.co.za. We are an online booking platform that connects guests to accommodation owners or property owners. We connect their guests to property owners, and yeah, we handle the advertising, we handle the posting, the marketing of the places. Yeah, that's what we do.
Awesome. Thank you for that, Hotatso.
I'm not sure if I kept it very brief.
No, you did. You did a decent job. Thank you so much. Yeah, brief is what I'm looking for. I don't really want us to spend like a long time during these brief sessions. I just would like to get a gist understanding of who you guys are, so I can, get an understanding of why you're here ultimately. Right. Can we have another volunteer? Yes, Mrs. Nakedi. You can go next. You muted yourself. You can please unmute your mic if you want to talk.
Okay, hello. Morning.
Morning.
Nka shumisa sepedi.
Yes, Kashumisa.
Okay, le tla ntshwarela for joina la ka ke tshwenya ke network. Nna ke nna ke di Susan Leshabana, founder of Thuto Tema Yana Ke di Farm, ke small farm se lo se thomile ka 2019 ka nako ya COVID. And then mo Thuto Tema Yana Ke di Farm re dira ka re byala re dia intercropping. Ke byala di crops tsa fapana because of aim ya ka aso harvester fela or aso gain something fela. Aim ya ka, that's why leina la ka leina la company ili Thuto Tema Yana Ke di Farm. Ke farm e lo rene ka mohare ina le thuto ina le education es ke le mo ile hore baswa a bana kgapheo mo tabeng ya farming ba bona farming e bora farming e le ntlo ya batho ba baholo and stuff. Rena re le ba Thuto Tema Yana Kedi, nna ke le founder of Thuto Tema Yana Kedi, ke try ho recruiter baswa es ke le actress mo ile hore ke le mo ile hore nka ba dia hore ba bona hore farming e ina le style. Solution e ile hore ke felletsa ke fitella hore ke ba fitelle baswa go dia dilo tse di trending-nyana like outfit ya rena mo Thuto Tema Yana Ke di Farm re na le di jumpsuit re na le di delela ka yona color ya farming e khakinyana or at least ba bona hore farming e na le style ya change re ba bontsha hape ka dilo tsa go tshwana le bo di hydroponics aquaponics gore ba bona hore farming ha e sa bora e sa tshwana le gale re ba bontsha ka dilo tsa go tshwana le o cheletsa ka di o reacha ka di network o cheletsa ka cell phone gore ba bona hore farming ha e sa le ya gale e le hore ba tlo ba le tjatjini the whole day and stuff re try ba recruiter ka yona mogao and hape re shumisa le tsela ya style hore ba kgone go bona hore dilo tsela tsa gale tsa go tshwana le bo di amaranth jute leaf re rile her Google ra bona hore di na le mogola mo mebeleng ya batho and batho ba sa ja matlelele and stuff ba bona le dilo tsa go bora. Thuto Tema Yana Kedi e nyako di tisa ka style re a di package bo matlelele ra di ngwala botse ka sekolo ke jute leaf ba rata dilo tse di trendy baswa ke mo ile hore ba kgona ho ja ba sa lemore ba ja letelele la ba le twaetseng la gale ditshepe ra di bjala and stuff. And aim ya rena re le batho thuto tema yana ke re aimile hore every year at least re ka reach 10%. Re thomile last year aim ya rena e reach 10% every year. Ya ra hore he re calculator be re lebeletse hore ka 2030 re tla be re na le 80% of youth ka mara farming. Ya ra hore taba ya food security re tlo kgona ho iphumella ka re lebeletse hore ba so ba resilient ba tlo kgona go tshwana le bo climate change ba tlo kgona ho ruteya ka hore farming no ina le technology e ntse e le hore batho ba baholo ba ka sa thola ba e kgona. That's why aim ya rena e le ho recruita ba so ka hore tse dintsi di abadiwa nowadays ka mara farming. Ha e sa le ya gale ya motse ya letsepe wa le my stuff. And then e kholo re nyaka no ifithella o re rena le dream ya yona go re push re sa tsebe re tlo pusha go kae o be le agri app ye le rene ba so ba gota mo yona ba tlo kra everything e nang le farming ka mohara. For now thuto temo yana ke di ina le 2 hectares e le rene dream ya rena go dia orchard ya macadamia. In between that macadamia ro sia ntsha ka 4 meter mo between macadamia sa rena ka gore macadamia tse yana go hola re tlo ba re bjala tsona di crops. The crops tsa rena rena le ja o fapana tse di unique ka re le mo le re ba so ba nyaka lo tse di trend re bjala strawberry, coriander, okra. Right now re harvest strawberry le okra. Ke lo tse le hore re lebeletse hore re ka ba bitsa ka tsona man re kgono ya ke bonyane ka thuto tema yana ke di ke tsene morawa ke tsebe le bolela kae.
No, sounds good. Sounds good, Nagedi. I like your interaction with the youth there. Yeah, I agree with you. There's a lot of opportunities, especially in farming and introducing new technologies. The facility in the future is going to be so different that even farming on its own is going to be completely different from your normal standards and everything like that. So I like the fact that you're positioning yourself in a way whereby you'll be part of that progress, or you'll be part of that movement when that time comes. So yeah, it sounds good. I'm happy for that. I'm glad to hear that. Thank you for that.
Sorry for tlalele ka mafello e bile re lebeletse hore re le salmo seemong sa motlhagase o le reng wa tswenya lo tsa o tsana le bobi farming ya hydroponics, farming without soil di nyaka motlhagase re ba try wa bontsha hore o gona method gore ka o bolisana wa biogas ke dilo tse e leng re try wa bontsha ba try o thirela hore di hydroponics re tlo tswenya ke motlhagase re ba botsa ka di biogas e le hore no diwa fela ka 20 liter ya tin ya boloko bophelo ba tswela pele re kgona ho tsheletsa hydroponics ya rena and stuff.
Thank you so much. Thank you for that. Yeah, that was very informative. Right. Can we have someone else volunteer? To introduce themselves. All right. Can we have Bukamoso Kapola to introduce himself, please? Bukamoso, are you there? All right. Let's move on to Castro Cecil. Are you there, sir?
Morning, everyone. How are you?
Morning, Castro. How are
you?
I'm good, thanks. Oh, sorry for the disturbance. My name is Moraro. I am the founder and director of a company called Castro Solutions. And then what we do basically at Castro Solutions, we create websites, we register companies. We also help with the SARS, and we also do graphic designing. And then we also I'm sorry. I also the founder and a director of a company called AGMD Empire Enterprises. And then at KGMD, we do like a general supply of a whole lot of things. And then I'm currently now busy studying. I'm doing co-tribe with MLab. Yes, so that's all about me at the moment.
Sounds good. Thank you for that, Castro. So another function for these introductions now is for us to see how we can help each other, you know, through networking and things like that. So for example, Ausnakiri just said that she would like to have an application to help educate people through a digital product online. And then Castro Cecil there offers services such as website building and application development. So there's a possible collaboration there depending on how much each entity is willing to work with the next one. So it's very crucial. Networking is very, very important. So we need to utilize that as much as we possibly can. I saw someone who was raising their hand.
It was me. I wanted to take a turn to introduce myself.
Right. You can go ahead, sir.
My name is Karabo Kekana. I stay in Mokopane. I have a company called Kekana Culture. At the moment, I do chickens that lay eggs, but I want to venture in. So that's where I am at the moment.
You want to venture in?
Agro processing.
Okay.
Yes.
So you're into farming as well?
Yes.
Beautiful. Sounds good. All right. Can we have someone else as well? Just a brief introduction. If you'd like to give us in more depth detail, you're free to do so as well. It's always good to learn more about your business and to also hear about your vision and mission. And that enthusiasm is really motivating. You know, there can never be anything wrong about that. Can we have Letty? Letty, can you please introduce us, ask you to yourself? I mean, yourself to us, please. Sorry about that.
Good morning.
Oh, there's a huge echo
That
coming.
thing is
Yeah, I think she needs to plug in her headphones. All right, we'll come back to you, Letty. Can we have Muluko? Please introduce yourself.
Morning, everyone.
Morning.
My name is Moloko Trace Popedi. So I'm with MLab Co-Tribe, learning how to develop websites and apps. But then I'm here to network and understand what this workshop is gonna help me, because I've already seen that Miss Nakedi is into agriculture, and I want to venture into agriculture. So yeah.
Sounds good. Fellow co-triber, I was there once. Work hard and you'll get your dreams sooner than you think.
Thank you.
Awesome. Letty, are you okay now?
yes, I think I'm good to go. Okay, I'm Letty Muila, the founder of Liberal Fields. My company got registered last year, January. I deal with agro-processing and farming, crop farming. So I want to take more people to get familiar with healthy snacks. That's my main objective so far.
Sounds good. I would love to eat a healthy snack without even going through a process of thinking if whether any additives that are unhealthy for me were added or not. So hopefully you'll be one of those companies that are trusted. Need health more than anything nowadays. Right. Dumisani, are you available, sir?
Yes, good morning. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. My name is Dumisani. I'm from DMG Paints. So what we basically do is we are paint manufacturers, but not only manufacturing, we also sell and also doing the actual application. So our approach is we based in the townships. We identify a gap in such that accessibility to paint stores, it's not always convenient for everyone. So our target market, obviously it's homeowners, but we also do industrial paints, your epoxy paints, and also road marking. We also believe in skills and development. We currently in a process of building a team of female painters. So yeah, that's all for now. Thanks.
Thank you for that, Dumisani. Who else? Adzani. Ashley Adzani, are you there?
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
I'm Ashley Sitole from Hope Givers Foundation, an IT intern. So I'm here to learn a thing or two in order to improve my skills and benefit the company as well. Thank you.
Nice. Thank you for that. Looks like we don't only have entrepreneurs here, we have also people who are willing to grow their skills. So yeah, it's a good variety here. Nicole Rachidi, are you there? Nicole. All right, Takalo Mahapa.
I already spoke.
You already spoke. So
Yes.
sorry. Okay, so sorry. Can Tangelani Tungan, I hope I said that right.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right. My name is Tlangelan Shongwan. I'm a co-founder of a company called Beans Inc. What we do is we do web development and app development, and we also do IT services as support. And I'm also with MLab. So I'm even here to network and learn more about design thinking. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's it.
Nice. Hopefully I get to expose it to you in a way that you can see it work for you productively, technically. Right. Elesta Melo. Elesta.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay, no. I'm Ilesta Mello, a University of Limpopo student doing my third year level in agricultural management currently. So with the Cool Tribe 2023 from MLab, and yeah, I'm willing to learn and enhance my skills in trying to also implement something in the agricultural sector. technologically based. Thank you.
Nice. Do we have a volunteer, someone who hasn't spoken yet? Okay, Homutso.
Hello.
Hi. Please introduce yourself.
My name is Kumuto James Kaulelo. I'm a software developer from Sun Institute of Technology. Currently, I'm with MLab doing web development. I deal with UI and UX designing. Thank you.
Thank you, Homutso. Who else do we have? Don't want to call people that already spoke. Refilwe. Monoketsi Refilwe. Are you there?
Morning, everyone. My name is Rufilo Mokhotu. I'm a co-tribe facilitator. I'm also a founder of Bumankhe Enterprise. We are a small farmer from our small village, and we are dealing with crops and livestock. So we'd like to commercialize it into technology. Thank you.
Nice. Thank you so much, Refilwe. Abigail. Abigail Mokhotani, are you there? Right. Moloko, Chris.
I've already spoken.
So sorry, sir. All right. Who did not speak? If you would raise your hand to assist me, please. I'm losing track of the people that are speaking here. There's quite a number of us. Okay. All right. Let's go with Mfwetu. Mfwetu. Bafu Mfwetu. Yes, you're next, Dadima. I see your hand there. Thank you. Before you can speak, Dadima will come after you. Before, are you there? All right, Dadima, you can go next, please.
Good morning. Can you all hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, my name is Vincent. I'm a software developer, so I'm in this meeting to connect with young aspiring entrepreneurs and also get inspiration. So yeah, that's basically me. Thank you.
Nice. Are you a co-triber as well?
Yeah, I'm also a co-tribe.
Oh, beautiful.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you, sir. Who else did we not? All right. I'm gonna call. Oh. Are you speaking, Bukamuso? You can go ahead,
Hello.
sir. Hi.
Hi, this is Bukamuso.
Hi, Bukamuso.
Yeah, I'm
How are
also
you?
a participant in the Code Tribe. I am a graduate from TUT. So I've got a company called Inclusive Tech, which we deal with technology related things such as web development and mobile app development. So
Right.
we use frameworks like Xamarin or React. It depends on the specification of the client. What do they want? So we also do content management for small startup systems using WordPress. So it's either you are going to be needing a web application or you're going to be needing a content management system where we'll go with WordPress, which is much more easier to develop with. So I'm also here to get inspiration from other developers and other business people. Thank you.
Thank you, Thomas. Right, so thank you for all the introductions, guys. Very informative. I am glad to see that the audience is really a variety of people coming from different backgrounds and professions. This is really going to be a fruitful session for every one of us because honestly, design thinking does not pick, you know. If you are an individual who's choosing a career-related profession in a specified area, wherever you are, but if you have a product to offer someone, design thinking is definitely something that's gonna be able to help you out. I'm gonna ask for the last time before I move forward, if there's someone who would like to introduce themselves that I missed. I have started to ask people repetitively now to speak. Unfortunately, I have lost track of who hasn't spoken or who has. Right. If you were to raise your hand in the reactions panel, that would be awesome, so that I can capture your name and we can hear about you, where you're going, what's your vision, and how probably one of us can assist you today going forward into your future.
Hello.
Hi, Bafu. You can go ahead, sir.
My name is Blessing.
Sure, Blessing.
I'm a student from UL and I'm here with Port Tribe, and I have a company called Books Only, where we help university students that want to start their own defense. So we help them and then push them, and then we take a commission and then we give them the other money. Thank you.
All right. Awesome. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Anyone else? Going once. Going twice. Ms. Trini, can you please introduce yourself, please?
Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Trini Bano. I am based in Limpopo. I coordinate the AgriTourza program and also take care of business development in the province for MDEF. And thank you guys for being here, co-tribers, as well as the AgriTourza beneficiaries. I hope that as Keketo takes you through this process, you are able to think about your digital solutions, how you'd like to see them eventually come to life. And please do ask questions as well.
Thank you so much, Trini. I see a hand. Thank you for that intro, Trini. I see a hand, Samsung SM. You can go ahead, please.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine, thanks, and you?
I'm good.
My name is Faith Chufularo Mapira. I'm someone who's graduating business management. I've got a company called the Vuseni Pty Ltd. It's a bakery confectionery. Currently, it's operating. So I'll need your assistance through the equipment. Then that's all. Actually, I was late, so some of the introduction I didn't hear them well. So I just logged in now.
Oh, don't worry, you didn't miss much. We're just going through, you might have missed others while they were introducing themselves, but yeah, we haven't started yet, so you're actually on time.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome. All right, thank you so much for your attention, everyone. I'll get started with the workshop. So this is a design thinking workshop. We'll primarily focus on the design thinking process and why it's so important for everyone to understand it, and yeah, why it's going to be useful for your business in relationship to the clients that you'll be offering your services to. So let me just switch the screen. So yeah, design thinking workshop, understanding the why and respecting your user. So ultimately, what design thinking is trying to accomplish for you and your users is for you to accommodate your user needs and goals. However, you should also consider your business goals as well. So it's a process that really solves a lot of problems and issues when it comes to startups, especially in terms of how they can make their product valuable for their clients and users. So the objective of this workshop is to give you guys an understanding of why you should go through the whole process of doing user interviews, talking to your clients, talking to people in general, make use of social media and Facebook to engage with people, asking questions, sending out polls, to get the gist of what people are really wanting out there. And at the same time, because trends are not necessarily enough to help to guide your business's future plans. If you're developing a 5-year plan, or if you're producing a product for your business, trends are not necessarily enough, because they are some of them are region specific in a way. So as much as trends can be supported by a lot of people, but your demographics, your specific demographics might be an entire different universe altogether. So I hope I get that, I get to clarify that for you and what it means for your business. So, if you are building a digital product for your business, so you are a farming business, for example, because I hear most of you are going into farming. If you are developing a website or an application that's informative, or where you sell products through it, it's really important that you understand the fundamentals of what constitutes user interface and user experience design as the product owner yourself. You're not really going to get involved in the whole process of building the application from start to finish in the design phase. You might be involved in the design phase, but not maybe the product building in terms of the code, the programming involved. However, it's really important that you get the gist and understanding of what UI UX is all about. So concepts like user-centered design, usability, information architecture, visual hierarchy, interaction design, responsive design, accessibility, all those things are pretty much important, especially if you are conscious about your brand and if you want consistency throughout social media and your website and your maybe videos, or what people perceive, how you want people to perceive your brand and your product. If you would really like it to be consistent, it's really important that you take consideration to all those things. So yeah, we'll go into a little bit of in-depth explanation in each and every one of these. But firstly, I would like us to start with these two: user-centered design and design thinking. We'll go into the concepts that we'll go into in depth in these slides will be for user-centered design mostly. However, for design thinking, I would like us to go through an article from this website that I really trust in terms of providing design thinking steps and details about that, because they're really good at explaining them. So User-centered, what do I mean when I say user-centered design? So user-centered design is a human-centric approach that prioritizes users throughout the design process. So it aims to create products and experiences that are not only aesthetically pleasing, but also intuitive and usable and valuable to end users. So you can't just have an idea about a product and then impose it on people, meaning that you are expecting them throughout their day to interact with your product at some point in time, especially if your product requires them to spend some money. So it really has to have value for your users for them to do that. You know, it has to have some form of value to say, I'm your user, and then you have a product. So which time of day am I going to interact with your product, or in which scenario am I going to interact with the product? So it's really important for you to map that out before you build the product, because that on its own does not tell you how your product is going to look like. So you can have a vision about what it's going to look like. However, if you want, once you interact with your users, something completely different is going to come out of that process. So when you start with that process now, it makes things easier, because when you move towards the building process, you're now building for something that people expect for themselves, and how it's going to help them in their everyday life. And then we move on to design thinking. So it's a human-centered approach to problem solving that emphasizes empathy, collaboration, iteration, experimentation. It provides a structured framework for tackling complex problems and generating innovative solutions. So if you are going through a brainstorming session and you're trying to think of how your product is going to be and what features it's going to have and where your users are going to be using it, design thinking is something that's going to expose you to that. And it's not even a linear process. So if you look at this diagram here, all these arrows indicate how this process goes. So you can start with empathizing with your users and go straight to prototyping. After prototyping, you can go straight to defining, and then ideating, testing. After testing, you get feedback and you go back to ideating. So it's a non-linear process. However, it's crucial that you stay within these bounds of empathizing, defining, ideating, prototyping, and testing, because they are fundamental to creating or bringing a product from start to finish. So I will move on to this article here. This is the website I'm talking about, Interaction Design Foundation. So these guys are good at, they deal with design. That's what they do. User experience design, design thinking, interaction design, prototyping, user flows, developing user flows, all of those things. So if you really want to see why all of these things are so valuable for your business, especially when you're going into the digital market, it's really important that you view their articles, you read their content, because it's going to provide, this is industry standard information you're reading from these guys. So you don't really need to be bouncing around the internet, wasting your time and reading from different sources, because you can take this information and you can, depending on your product, you can customize it to how you would like it to work for you and your business. So let's look into design thinking here. Design thinking is a nonlinear iterative process that teams use to understand users' challenge assumptions, redefine process, and create innovative solutions to prototype and test, involving 5 phases: empathize, define, ideate, prototype. It's most prototype and test. It's most useful to tackle problems that ill-defined or unknown. So this is the biggest issue when it comes to developing a product, is that most people think that they know how to define a problem and how to build its solution. However, in reality, it's actually the opposite. You have to be collaborating with people. You have to be redefining problems. You have to be defining ideas and prototyping and testing them. This is what connects your idea with expectations and realities of your users, right? You prototype and test it so people can see what you're talking about. And then when they see it, they can envision it in their everyday life. And when they envision it, they can define where it's mostly going to be useful. And once they can do that, they're ultimately defining a value for your product or your business. They're helping you define where the value is for your product. So it's a process that, you know, helps everyone at the end of the day. If users can't define the value for the product, maybe it's a challenge for them to start looking into how they go about doing that. And maybe that's where you will give value to your users, is that, oh, I wasn't aware that I was needing something like this in my life, but then you came with this product and you were like, okay, this product helps you do this and this and that. And then it's up to you to let me know if you think this is going to be valuable for you or not. So let's go into each and every one of these briefly to understand what they entail briefly. So there's a video there, it's a tech talk on your own time. I'll send the link in the chat so you guys can go through it when you have the time to do so. So the 5 stages of design thinking involves empathizing. So here you should gain an empathetic understanding of the problem you're trying to solve. So sometimes it might not even be a problem. It might just be that you have a solution or a service that you want to offer to people. So you have to be empathetic also to that. Is that okay? You have to be empathetic with that still, because it's still something that people still have to adjust their daily routine in order to accommodate. So here you should gain an empathetic understanding of the problem you're trying to solve, typically through user research. Empathy is crucial to a human-centered design process, such as design thinking, because it allows you to set aside your own assumptions about the work and gain real insight into users and their needs. So another thing about us entrepreneurs is that our own assumptions usually drive our vision, right? However, when it comes to now putting your product out there, maybe at the starting point, you can use your own assumptions to build a profile for the idea, or to document it, or to write a vision about it, something that people can understand about it. However, when you start going into the world now, you have to start developing using human-centered design processes. Now that you are involving people, you also have to cater for their perspectives and worldviews. And since they are your clients, or they are your use case, your use base, like they play a very crucial role in your product, their perception about your product is going to ultimately define how your product looks like. So it might happen that you don't really like where the direction of your product is going. And maybe that's where you can, start to explain your vision about the product and where you would like it to go. And yeah, it's quite important to do that as well if you want to retain your initial start, your initial goals and things like that, so that when you gain real insight from your users, you are gaining it from people who are on the same page with your vision about where the product has to go. Unlike you adapting to their expectations or ill-advised expectations of where the product or the service has to go, right? And then on the stage 2, you define your user needs and problems. So it's time to accumulate the information gathered during the emphasize stage. So the emphasize stage, I would say how you will go about doing it is, like I mentioned, Facebook, writing polls, there's Google Forms, for example. You can, if you have a user base on social media, if you get like 200 likes on social media on each and every post that's on your business account, it's good enough for you to ask them questions now. You have to ask them, why do you like my product, and where do you use my product, and things like that. Those insights is the research that you get from your user. And you can connect the dots in terms of where you think, where you see the product actually, becoming useful, because it's not obvious from the get-go. It's honestly not obvious. So stage 2, you now define, you state your user needs and problems. It's time to accumulate the information gathered during the emphasize stage. You then analyze your observations and synthesize them to define the core problems you and your team have identified. These definitions are called problem statements. You can create personas to help keep your efforts human-centered before proceeding to ideation. So, yeah, problem statements are, okay, let's look at problem statements briefly here, for branch out and look at them for a few. Problem statements are concise descriptions of design problems. Design teams use them to define the current ideal states and to freely find user-centered solutions. Then they use these statements, also called point of views, as reference points throughout the project to measure relevance of ideas they produce. So this is where you're getting value now. You're starting to plan out the value for your business. So you're like, okay, this is a problem statement I got from user A, B, and C, and this is a problem statement I got from user D, E, and F. So you look at these problem statements and you compare them, and you look at the, in relationship to the project, which one of these are problem statements that must be taken into consideration, and which one can be not taken into consideration. Because like I said, you can only cater for a specific demographic. You, as much as your product is going to be used by a lot of people, however, it's not everyone. A lot of people does not mean everyone. And then user personas are the ones that we use when we develop a product. User personas are the ones that we use to develop a product. So what they look like is that you envision a hypothetical individual.
Hi, your camera is on.
It's off. You can't see my screen.
There's someone there. Let me just delete the switch off their camera. What's up, you?
Oh. Okay.
Done.
Oh,
Right.
oh, okay. Can you still see my screen? All right.
You can see it now. Thanks.
Right. Awesome. Right. So user personas are a profile of an individual, of an ideal client or customer for your product. So you have their image, you have their name. Let me show you. How a user persona looks like. So this is an example of a user persona. This is an example of how a user persona looks like, right? So you have the individual and you have their information, their age, where they work, are they married, or where they live, and a brief description of who they are and what motivates them, their bio and things like that. This is like your ideal client. If you're building a product for someone or a group of people or people in general, what is that one individual that you would like to use your product? Like, what do they look like, right? If they're using your product, what do you think they look like? What do they do on a daily basis? What frustrates them on a daily basis? And what are their goals? What are they trying to achieve? And what are their preferred channels? What do they use on a daily basis? Are they on WhatsApp most of the time? Are they on Twitter? Are they on Spotify? and things like that. So those are the, that ideal person is the one that's going to guide you in terms of building your product, right, or your service. So they will help guide how that service looks like. Right, so after defining your problem statements, you've documented down, you've created your personas. Now you move on to ideation. So stage 3, it's challenging assumptions and creating ideas. The solid background knowledge from the first 2 phases means that you can start to think outside the box. Look for alternative ways to view the problem and identify innovative solutions to the problem statements you've created. Brainstorming is particularly useful here. So now you are accommodating the information from the research phase and defining the defined stage to ideate the problem now. You are listing out features, you are listing out features, you are developing wireframes and prototypes. Well, not prototypes exactly, but you are just, wireframing it out, listing features and how it's going to look like, how it's going to function, how they're going to interact with it. So yeah, it's a very crucial stage here. And then you move on to prototyping, start to create solutions. This is an experimental phase. The aim is to identify best possible solution for each problem found. Your team should produce some inexpensive, scaled down versions of the product or specific features found within the product to investigate ideas you've generated. This could simply involve paper prototyping. There's many tools to help you develop this stage, right? So depending on the team you have, if you have a designer in the team, this is where their value comes in, because not all of us are designers. We don't have the same capacity or interest in design per se. So designers have to use applications like your Framer, Figma, Adobe XD to start prototyping and wireframing the digital product and what it looks like. Could be a website, could be the product itself or the service, really. Yeah, and prototype, it depends on what it is that you'll be doing at that time. And then testing your ideas. Try your solutions out. Evaluators rigorously test the prototypes. Although this is the final phase, design thinking is iterative. Teams often use the result to redefine one or more further problems. So you can return to previous stages to make further iterations, alterations, and refinements to find or rule out alternative solutions. So yeah, like I said, it's a bouncing around type of a situation until you get the ideal product for the ideal user, right? And the ideal user is defined in the user persona here. So for this person, you have gone through all these processes to give them the product that's really valuable and that's is aesthetically pleasing to look at, and that is valuable as well, and it's intuitive to use as well. So yeah, that is design thinking and its iterative process. It's a non-linear approach to non-linear approach. It's a valuable approach in user experience design. It helps professionals understand and respond to the rapid changes in user environments and behaviors. Its origins can be traced back in the 1960s there. Like it's an old technique, and yeah, it's an old Western technique, and it has since been developed by various fields to meet the needs of users in the modern age. So it existed for a very long time, meaning that for them to get here, it took a lot of iterations for the process itself to solve other problems in the market. So design thinking is particularly effective in tackling ill-defined problems, allows teams to think creatively and focus on what is most important for the user. It's known for its ability to think outside the box. So thinking outside the box is pretty crucial here. Common standards and known traditions can be quite challenging to break. However, if you really want something to succeed in the real world doesn't really care about culture. It doesn't really care about tradition or a long history, written traditions. This is how we've been doing things. You know, things change, times change. I mean, we can see today how much things are radically changing our reality and how our everyday living is impacted by that change. AI is coming in now. Nobody would have guessed AI could have been here in 2023. People envisioned that that thing could take like years to come. And when it's here, it was imagined that what is this, scientific and business related processes would be easier for it to comprehend, but only it turns out it can do anything. You know, even creative processes can be automized with AI. So things change. Reality is quite different from what we think it is. Right, so going back to user-centered design, we have this usability measure here that we can use to to grade our product's quality. You know, designing interfaces that are easy to use, intuitive, and efficient to use, efficient for users to accomplish their tasks. So when you open WhatsApp, you don't question a lot of things. You don't question, why am I seeing users this way? Why do I have to click to do this? Why do I have to do that, right? They've gone through the design thinking processes. They've gone through user-centered design. They've taken the design approach, whatever methods they use, whatever research they found, told them, and advised them to say, this is how your user interface should look like, right? Or this is how your product should look like. You should have listers, you should have users here, you should have this feature here, you should have this feature here. Usability is the measure of quality of user experience when interacting with a product or system. So if we look at these two screens here, you can tell right away which one is going to be easier to use, which one is not going to be easier to use. However, it goes without saying that all the information that's included in this application is relevant for the business to take from the user. So when a designer dumbs down the form and makes it simpler to use, they can sometimes miss out on this information. So it's on the important business related information when they are trying to improve the user experience of the application. So it's quite important to go through an iterative process to say, okay, the business still needs all of this information here. How do we structure it in a way that the users feels like they don't mind entering the same information that we need here without it being such a painful experience, right? And this is where now you go through testing such as this. This illustration, as you can see, it says A/B. There's a process of what we call A/B testing in user interface design, where you design two screens with similar functionalities, but different maybe layouts, color, and text, typography, how you laid out things like that. And then you send it out to the user. Like I said, on Facebook, for example, you can take one screen and then ask the users, which screen out of these two do you prefer? And then you get feedback from that, right? And then when you get that feedback from the user, you can use it to refine the user interface and to change how things are going to be in order to accommodate how the product looks like. Because from that poll, what you have done is that you've exposed the process in your product or service, and then now users have expectations in terms of when they're going to get exposed to that specific area of your service or process. They will be exposed to this specific type of a design. So you cannot be asking users, do you prefer this screen or this screen? And then they say, we want this screen. But then when they open your application, they find this. And then you come up with reasons like, oh no, the business still needs all of this information, wada wada. You know, people don't really care about that. They just want to use, they just want your product to be easy to use. I have my own things to do for the day. My day is busy, my day is hectic. I need to book an apartment. I don't want to go through all of this process here. So it's quite important to consider that people's opinions, ill-defined as they are, that they are important to take into consideration. And then we have usability. So designing interfaces that are easy to use and efficient for users to accomplish their task. So like I said, when you introduce a product to a user, they have to think, which part of my day am I going to use your product? What will I be doing? Am I going to be chilling on the sofa? Will I be in a bus? Will I be at work? Will I be partying? What will I be engaging with your product? So, and what will I be doing? Is it if it's a complicated system like a content management system, how will it be usable, right? So there's 10 usability heuristics that you need to take into consideration. Visibility of system status. That means that a system needs to give feedback. After clicking on a button or submitting a form, I have to get feedback. It has to tell me if it was successful or not. After clicking a button, the button has to tell me that something is happening in the backend, or something has to be, or a process is happening in the background, and this is what indicating to you that's the case. Match between system and the real world. So that one is pretty straightforward, self-descriptive. You'll get that through the iterative process. That one you will answer automatically through going through a user-centered design process like design thinking. User control and freedom allow some customizability for your users. You know, allow them to have control over your system, you know, to set some custom things, features, and information, you know, consistency and standards. When I was talking about you worrying about how people perceive your brand, this is where this heuristic comes in. However, it's at a level of the service now. It's not at the level of, you know, the whole ecosystem of your business or your product. If you have a service, it's pretty important that as I'm interacting with your service, I still feel like I'm still interacting with a service related to your product or your brand or your company. So it shouldn't feel like now I am interacting with a different system. The page is different, or the form looks different, different font is used, different wording is used, you know, the color looks different each and every time I click next, or each and every step that I go through, things are different. So consistency is quite key there. Error prevention. You know, error prevention is quite an important one. This one is what makes users usually quit your system. So if you haven't gone through enough process to help the user to not make mistakes, well, mistakes do happen. So if your system is not catered to prevent errors, users will feel mostly compelled to just quit the system because it's really frustrating. It doesn't tell me when I made a mistake here. It only tells me 5 steps later that I should have done this, when it's supposed to have told me immediately after in this second step that I should actually be doing this. Recognition rather than recall. It should be intuitive. You know, I should recognize some of the processes that are happening here instead of trying to remember how your unique system works. So say, for example, I'll make an example when it comes to making websites, right? So when you build a website, well, the website is for your brand, and it's for your brand, and it serves a unique purpose. However, I should recognize where the menu is situated. I should recognize where my orders, where I can get my orders. It should be, obviously, it's a standard that's catered everywhere, that under a profile under account is where users get their orders. So if you put orders under menu, under the side menu or something like that, it's not really intuitive, because it's going to take a lot of clicks before people recognize that, oh, okay, it's just right here on the side menu. Right. Flexibility and efficient of use, aesthetic and minimalist design, meaning that you remove the clutter, remove the noise. If it's not relevant for the process, it shouldn't be there. Help users recognize, diagnose, and recover from errors. So under error prevention there, as you go helping users prevent making errors, you should also help them diagnose how they fix the error in the moment. Help in documentation there. They should have somewhere where they can go to be assisted if they need help with your service or product. All right, I would like to ask, does anyone have any questions so far? You can react with a thumbs up if you don't have a question. You can raise your hand in the reactions panel if you are okay. Thank you, Ozani. Thank you, Evans. Awesome, awesome. If I'm going too fast for you guys, or if I'm not explaining something in clarity, please feel free to stop me in the moment and ask me to explain what I mean by something that you see on the screen there. I'm well open to explaining what I'm talking about here. Right, so we'll move on to interaction design now. So this is more related to a digital product. Since businesses are going digital, it's quite important that you familiarize yourself with what's happening in that field. You know, a website is not successful simply because it looks beautiful. Yes, beauty is part of it, but it's also usable, and people have an easy time clicking this button more than this one. You know, it's quite descriptive. It's not wordy. It's more specific when it gives you instructions or when it warns you about something. You know, you don't have to go through the whole process of reading this paragraph. You know, those minor interactions that we don't really pay attention to most of the time are what makes a system really usable, and which is why user interface or user experience design is a field that's really central when it comes to building a digital product. You cannot go far if you don't include user experience design in your product design. So defining how users interact with the interface through gestures, clicks, swipes, and other input methods, ensuring a smooth and intuitive experience. So as you go through the design thinking process, these are the things that you need to take into consideration, right? So once you get feedback from your users, how do you use that feedback and integrate it in interaction design? How do you keep it consistent? How do you allow that feedback to help your application stay consistent? How do you use that feedback to allow your products to make it predictable for the demographics or for that ideal user that you've created a user persona for? It should be perceivable, it should give feedback, and it should be learnable. It shouldn't be complicated, right? So which is where a minimalist user interface comes in, meaning that if it's minimal, there's not a lot of elements a user has to capture, has to memorize as they interact with your system. You know, they get into this page and they learn and it becomes predictable. And the quicker it is learnable, the quicker it is to perceive. And if it gives feedback, it's easier to memorize. If it's consistent, it's easier to make use of. So that's where the add value gets added. The more of those green boxes you tick, the more a product becomes valuable for your clients. However, it's specific to your demographics. This is not a general, the standard is general, it's a process, but it's specific to your clients. So we should, you know, put people into the picture. And then we move on to responsive design. So when you're building a website, for example, should consider how many products where people are going to use it. So for example, if you're developing an app, you should not think, okay, oh, what happens if people open my app on a laptop? Apps can't be opened on laptops. Apps can't be opened on desktops. So meaning that you should consider a mobile device and a tablet, right? Now, there is a type of application that's called a web application, meaning that it's on a website. It's sort of like a website, but it can behave like an application as well. So if you build for that one, then you have to consider all of these different device screens. So in the team, when the designer or when you've outsourced a designer, you should be exposed to what processes are they doing? What are they doing to cater for different applications, or not applications, devices? You know, when they're designing the application or the website or the service, are they accommodating desktops? Are they accommodating mobile devices? Are they accommodating tablets? And also with tablets, there's also this horizontal and vertical orientation of the device. So are they catering for that? It's crucial to learn that, because now if I'm opening your website on a tablet and it's beautiful, it's great user experience. But when I'm opening it on a desktop, I find that it's not really great or useful. And most of the time, 70% of my time I'm using a desktop. What does that mean for your product, right? It's really important to know that. 70% means that majority of the time I'm on the desktop, but I'm using it. I can use a tablet at some point as well. So it's self-explanatory, that one. So responsive design is part of interaction design as you're going through the design thinking process right there. And then accessibility. Ensuring that interfaces are accessible to users with disabilities, accommodating various assistive technologies, and following accessibility standards is also something to understand there. So there's a new way. It's not new. It's a feature that needs to be considered. So, for example, how will your website be used on a desktop if someone does not have a mouse to click on the button? How will they get access to the button, right? If they only use a keyboard, they don't have a mouse, they don't use a trackpad. Or if they don't use a keyboard, how will they use the website only with a mouse? Is it user-friendly in that way, right? And then how is the website accessible? How easily are the elements on the website accessible, depending on the size of the device that I use? So on the iPhone side, we have this model called iPhone SE. It's a very small device with a very small screen. If you pay attention to these hands here, it's quite understandable that on a small device, it's easier to get to the top of the screen with just using your thumb on a small device than it is to get to the top of the screen using a large device. So where is it important to put the most important elements at the top of the screen where it's difficult to reach, or at the bottom of the screen where it's easier to reach? So now that introduces what we call hierarchy. So which element comes first before the other one? So hierarchy is quite important there. So you need to build along those lines to say, okay, at the top there, we can put elements that are rarely used by our users. You know, they barely use them. Maybe your search bar, maybe your where they click the cart item orders, and where their profile image or their profile section there. Barely items that they click on most of the time you can afford to put at the top there. However, buttons like add to cart or buy now or newsletter where they have to put in their email address so you can send them newsletters if you do something like that. They need to be consistently accessible. And you also need to consider if they are using a left hand or the right hand and things like that. So a designer must be well aware of these of this approach, because it ultimately guides how the interface looks like. So it can happen that you cater for that. So if you look at this interface, for example, right, the email address is at the top, and then we have the menu at the bottom here. So this is just the accessible UI example here. So no application would ever look like this. So this is an example of a bad accessibility mobile application, because I would imagine the email is the most important element here. However, the menu, the notifications, and the profile are easier accessible than the email itself. So unless if it's not a priority for a business process or a business goal, then you can afford to put it up there. But yeah. Can I ask, does anyone have any questions so far? Are we all on the same page?
Okay, I have an ask together. With
Yes.
this apps, I'm sorry, I've been cut off by network and I keep coming in and going out. Pardon me. So with this apps, with us who are running business deep in the rural and mostly offering our services to the poor and the middle class parties, how do we then ensure that they are tech savvy and they are aware of this, I don't know if they would, I know that we are in a world where things are evolving so much, but then if you are in the deep rural and people are not even tech savvy, how do you ensure that they get to know about this? How would this benefit them actually? Yeah.
Right. I would imagine that's between you and your business. I mean, if you are imparting value on a space like the rural areas, right, you have to be engaging with those people in order for you to understand what will it take for them to develop an interest to a point whereby they're willing to sit down and engage in these technologies. Because unfortunately, at that point, it's pretty difficult to make people tech savvy who don't normally interact with systems, or those systems are not part of their everyday life. So I would imagine that's a different challenge altogether, that maybe you need to include some form of an educating team somewhere in your business, where they go around rural people who are interested in your solution, and teach them about the solution, what it looks like, what's happening about it, and things like that. So yeah, it's going to take you have to be engaging with those people in order to understand what it takes for them to start engaging or using these digital products in a way that you'd expect them to use. And maybe it's for you to learn as well how to cater for rural people. When you say you're building a product for people in the rural areas, how do you build it for them so that it's easy to use and for them, and that it's intuitive and it's valuable for them? So the same principles still apply. However, there's a lot more engagement involved, because there's an element of educating someone there that is required. I'm not sure if I answered you there. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, all right. Does anyone else have a question? All right. I'll move on to consistency right now. So consistency is key. Maintaining a cohesive visual interaction design throughout the interface, ensuring that elements behave predictably across different screens and sections. So as an example of the lady that just asked the question in terms of rural areas and people not being, how do you get people to know all of these things, right? If your system is consistent, right, and people, you expect people to interact with it on a regular basis. So you help them understand and get used to it very quickly. And that's if, you know, it's a two-way process, this one. It's a matter of them also paying attention to what they're doing, because there's only so much that you can help, you can assist someone before you make the system too wordy. So if it's too wordy, it's full of instructions, then they're left and right, they have to read and this and that, it becomes too much, even for them. And even when they have to, even if they have to learn the system and understand how it works. But a minimalist system is that you have to isolate anything that's not relevant for a process or for a part of a process in order for the user to accomplish a specific task. However, the user themselves have to pay attention to what they're doing. They have to be aware of, okay, I'm opening this application to make a booking. If they don't know what a booking looks like, they have to pay attention to the user interface. And if you've done your job right, you'll present to them information that they need to understand what a booking process looks like and what it takes to do it from start to finish. Right? So that's where they help you as well. So and yeah, it's a process that they need to engage in as well. So maybe if you'd like the system to be a little bit more informative, you can include a help and contact and help section for the application where they can read if they're willing to do that. If they feel like it's too complicated, using a lot of jargon and wada and terms like that, but then it's up to you to develop a language that they can understand for the application. So through the design thinking process, you will learn what that language looks like, and you'll use the necessary wording in order to make the application relevant to them. So yeah, so keeping it consistent is one of those elements that you need to take into consideration. So they can't be confused where once in one page an input looks like this, and then in the next page a button looks like the input now, and then the input looks like a button. So consistency is key there in order for you to help them get used to and understanding the system and making it use in a predictable way. So yes, and a legible font is something that's also worth considering. So when they're using your product or your service, it's quite necessary for them to read all the text easily, because the eyes get tired quite easily if you're catering for people that normally don't use the system like that. But then you're using fancy fonts and wada and all those things like that. Fancy fonts, fancy coloring elements, things are moving all over the place. You know, keep things specific to the demographic. You know, you add value to them in that way. They get to learn a lot from your system. They get to understand a lot from your system, and it provides more than just what you're willing to offer them as a service, but you are growing them as individuals and as people like that. All right, so consistency. If you look at this application for an example, this is an order process pre-screen where a person is making an order. So they're in the order page, selecting an address. You can see that the interface is quite consistent. You have the person who's making the order. You can switch between delivery and pickup, and they're quite pronounced as well, quite specific. You can also see which one is highlighted between the two, which ultimately tells you which option you've chosen, and the inputs and all of those things are are showing on the screen. And then you click on this button, it sends you to this screen as well. You can see that there's some consistency, although a new element has been added at the bottom, but there's a consistent view of the screen, or this is the pickup, or this is when you switch between the pickup section. Okay, so the delivery is that, okay, you send us your address and then we'll come to you. And then when you click on pickup and you see pickup here, you enter the address and you tell them when are you operating, and then this new element comes up now. So it's new, but you can still recognize that you're still using the same application. They did not redirect you to an entirely different screen where you have to do a separate or a process that feels entirely different. And then you make an order. That map is now more pronounced. You see now the function of the new element is to show you that this is to confirm that, yeah, you're gonna pick up the delivery from here, from this area here. So it serves as a visual reference of what you say the system, where you say the delivery person should go when they pick up, where they should pick you up, or where they should pick up a package if it's a delivery service application or something like that. Right. So yeah, visual elements like this, people don't normally pay attention to them. However, if they work right, your application will definitely add value to them, and it's easier to use and it's more preferable, especially if it's dependable. So one thing that can break such a beautiful chain of interaction is when your system keeps crashing. So so if your system keeps crashing, giving errors and whatever, there's supposed to be a map. There was a map previously when I was using it, but now there's no map, and I can't have that visual reference anymore. It's not a dependable application. I can rather find an alternative. Right. And then you have visual design. So employing principles of layout, color theory, typography, and graphic design to create visually appealing and engaging interfaces. So there's a very crucial principle or law that dictates that visual design is really important. And it states that users are able to forgive a system that's not working properly if it's beautiful. If you give people a beautiful product, they are less likely to be harsh on it, even if it produces less, it's not always reliable. So for example, I did make an example about this map not being reliable sometimes, but if your system is visually beautiful, then people are more inclined to forgive it when it produces erroneous states than when it's not beautiful. So to produce a beautiful system, you have to make use of some design principles, which are like layout, your color theory, typography, and graphic design. So all those elements can be incorporated into your product from your business's branding. So if you took time to develop a brand for your business, and this is if you see your business operating for long periods of time. If you've developed a brand for it, you already have colors for it, you already have typography, and you already developed some graphics for it. So you can take some of those graphics and you can embed it into your website or your application so that they can be used. That also hits on consistency as well, meaning that I'm opening your application and I'm reading about your brand and I see the correlation between the two there. The colors look the same, the fonts look the same, and the graphics used seem to be similar. So it's quite important to add some visual design principles. So these ones are for mostly designers. So your scale, your balance, contrast, some of the Gestalt principles and visual hierarchy. So visual design involves a whole lot of psychology as well. So most of the things that make a system work because they hit positively on some psychological elements that we have as individuals. So we might grow up in different backgrounds, but we have the same brain, and the same brain is affected the same way by different, the same the same psychologies of our brains are affected the same way, even if the triggers are different. So you can have a conversation with someone from a different location about something that they value. If you go down into details about why they value something, both people might come up with the same reason, right? Is that maybe it helps people, or that it makes me feel good, or it's something, it's like it makes me feel good, or it produces value for people, or it makes me it allows me to do something that I like doing, right? So if you hit on those, the triggers might be different. However, the reasons why they are valuable to that individual, they're all the same. So psychology-wise, design, it hits on psychology. Most of it is usually psychology. And design thinking helps an individual or your demographic navigate their own psychology at some point in terms of how they interact with systems. Is that, okay, I use a system when I'm at home, chilled, I use Facebook when I'm at home, sitting down, because it feeds me a lot of information. I just keep scrolling, and new information is just presented to me, right? And then you think about your service and you want to develop an educational platform, and you might also use the same principle to accommodate that, is that they keep scrolling and they just get exposed to different content the same way. So they might use Facebook and your system hand in hand, but depending on the value each one provides, they might use your system more than Facebook. So to increase the probability of users in using a system more than Facebook, for example, because it's a big system. However, design-wise, is really not that good. You can apply some visual design principles and apply them in a way that makes people feel good when they use your system, when they see things happening there, right? So I gave a general concept of the Gestalt principles. Like I said, design is more psychology than anything. Similarity, when objects look similar to one another, the eye perceives them as a group or a pattern. So most of the time, that's why we don't pay attention to these things. Like when you're opening a news, a web page, for example, or when you're opening a YouTube, for example, you don't pay attention to the similarity of the layout of the user interface of YouTube, for example. However, they did take into consideration the similarity there. When objects look similar to one another, the eye perceives them as a group, which is why you have sections for reels separate from sections for videos. So videos have their own areas and reels are separated. They even use double lines there. Let me show you an example here. No, I turned off my reels. Okay, so to show you an example here, we have this section here. Let me just put this here. So to show you an example, we have this section here at like these tags here. So they are similar. So automatically your brain groups them as one thing, right? And then we have videos here also. These two are not the same. They're separate elements, obviously. They even look different. However, what's stopping YouTube from adding these tags to these individual videos, so that if you want aircrafts, for example, I just click on this video with this tag that has an aircraft in it and stuff like that. So yeah, grouping things together is quite important for a successful interface. And then we have proximity as well. When objects are placed together, the eye perceives them as a group. And then we have continuity. The eye is compelled to move from one object to another. Closure, when an object is incomplete or not completely enclosed, then the brain automatically fills it out for you. So they just put circles that are not filled here, but because of the orientation and the relationship between each one, you will also see a triangle in between the circles, even though there's no shape that's drawing a triangle. If you were to take out these circles, there's no triangle here, but you do see it within these circles. And then then there is this, where is, oh, okay, wanted this window. Yeah, and then we have figure/ground, when the eye differentiates an object from its surrounding areas. So yeah, can differentiate between which one is on top and which one is at the back between these two shapes here. So these are psychological patterns that we don't necessarily pay attention to. However, they do impact us on our everyday basis. So when you look at a poster, for example, they didn't lay out those things just to make them look good. There's principles to follow, and there's standards to follow in terms of how do we make that thing look successful. So even if you're catering for rural people and people who are not very tech savvy, they still do have those systems impacting them. However, they might not impact them the same way that a person living in the city would. So, yeah. And then we have user research and user testing. So this is where design thinking comes in. You interact with this process a whole lot during design thinking, conducting research to understand user needs, behaviors, and preferences, and using insights to inform design decisions. Iteratively testing design prototypes with real users to gather feedback, validate assumptions, and identify areas for improvement. So this process is not only for a digital product. So if you want to develop a smart farm, for example, a smart farm that allows, a smart farm that uses sensors and things like that, when you think about the architecture of how you're going to do that, how you're going to build it, that smart farm, and how people are going to utilize it in their everyday lives. If it's a service that you cater for them, let's say, for example, you provide the hardware and the software, meaning the hardware is the setup of the farm itself, and then the software is where all those little modules, those sensors, and the water purification, all those components and hardware, they come together and you can control them in one system, in one central area, which is your application. If you think along those lines, you still have to use this user research and user testing methodology that's encompassed within design thinking. Because you're not designing the smart farm in isolation for you alone. I mean, you're going to sell the product. So if any product you're going to sell to someone, you have to consider engaging with your users as you go about creating this product. So there's two approaches towards user research, which is attitudinal, listen to what users say, and behavioral, see what users do observational studies. So the first one obviously is when you release polls and you ask them to give you feedback on social media, and you listen and you see what they think they're going to use the system. You look at their behaviors and your conversations, and you can map out what you think they're going to use the system, and you use that insight to structure how the system is going to look like and how they will be able to set it up on their own. And then behavioral is you just exposing the system to them. Now, this is where you've developed the prototype. The prototype is built and it's out, and people are interacting with it. So you have to pay attention to what they're doing. Are they doing what you expect them to do? Are they looking for things where you place them? So it's so like I said, example, when they look for orders, where do they normally go? Do they go to their profile? Do they go to their account? Or do they go into cart to look at their order history or something like that? So you use those insights to structure the interface and help them help assist them to say, hey, this is the path you use to to get from you being on the landing page or on the starting point of the product to where you want to go. Right, so user experience research as well is pretty crucial. It's also involved in, it's very much involved in this entire process. So it shows us the problems that users experience based on first-hand research and data to avoid assumptions, includes a multitude of methods to study users and their requirements, gives us context and allows us to identify the needs of users. And it starts in the research phase and continues after the end of the project. So meaning that even when the project is out there and it's working, people are starting to use it, the research does not stop, because now as time goes, things change, and people start their own businesses and they would like to inject your product into their process, their business process. However, they would like to add a little bit of a feature there to help make that process easier. However, when you take that into consideration, you find that, oh, that process actually changes process A, B, and C already within the system. So now how are we going to incorporate this process? Is it even worth doing that? And what do we say to this user, to these users that are requesting the features, if our research is telling us that actually no, it's gonna play against you if you were to add this feature than it would if you were not to add it. So all those things are pretty crucial for prioritizing operational goals for your business, I would imagine. Right, so user experience activities in the product and service design cycle. We have discovery, we have explore, test, and listen. So all of these processes are similar. So you just take design thinking and you run with it, and you'll be exposed to all of these other processes. So your benchmarking, your accessibility evaluation, feedback and review, frequently asked questions review, things like that. So users will guide you a lot in how your product is going to be useful for them. People play a really huge role in the success of this. And if done right from the start, it can guarantee success throughout time goes, and it's easier to manage as time goes. Right, if you are into front design, if you are willing to design your own product, or if you would like to see your product, bring your product to life, there's prototyping, there's rapid prototyping in user experience. We have tools like your Figma, Framer, and Adobe XD, where you can, prototype such user interfaces, and you give them out to people to test, and they just go through the whole system and let you know what they think about it and how they interact with it. So it's pretty important that you build a group of people that are very active and are willing to to spend their time with your system, and are willing to give feedback as well, constructive feedback, not just, oh, the system looks nice and then full stop, or, oh, it looks beautiful, I like it, and then full stop, that's it. That's not good feedback. You're not going to be able to do anything with that, as much as it is positive, but you can't really do much about that. They have to let you know why do they like it, what works and what doesn't. Is the booking process as they expect? Is it as intuitive? Is it easy? The look and feel, is the application easy to read? Is it easier to prioritize information for them? Is it easier for them to find information? Are the features that are provided to them useful as they are laid out? Remember, a prototype is not really a functional application. It's just a matter for you to gauge how the flow of the application, is it going to work the way you expect it to for them. Right. Can I ask if I have any questions so far? Is everyone on the same page?
Yes.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you, sir. All right. Right. So if you are a person who would like to see what I'm talking about in terms of developing a good product that looks nice and beautiful, there's these 3 websites that I usually go to myself for inspiration. Usually, you don't need to start a process from scratch, like from here through wireframing and then coming to prototyping. You can just go to these websites here, Behance, Dribble, and Awards, to look into which user interface do you think you can incorporate into your product, and yeah, which you can incorporate in your product, why you like it the way it's designed and things like that. So you can also help a designer, to not for them to impose their what they think is going to work for your application, however, to also have a hand to play in how the application is developing, or the website is developing, or the service is developing. And then another reference resource that I like to share with you guys is this application. It's called UX Toast. It gives you a more insight about design laws, and there's lessons there. And it's an application. You can always have it in your on your phone if you want to read something. You can see there's design thinking there, and there's desirability, feasibility, and invisibility that you can read about there. So it includes all design thinking and user-centered design methodologies and processes that you can use if you want to improve your experience with your clients or your customer base. So yeah, you can. I will share this slide in the chat, so each one of you can have access to it if you would like to further explore these websites if you want to. Right, that's it from me. So that's it from me. I will open a Q&A session for everyone. If you'd like to have a discussion about a concept or about something, a clarification, we can have that right now. Would you, or if you want me to go back and explain something in depth, it would be this is a great opportunity for us to do that. Does anyone like to go through maybe the design thinking or interaction design or the fundamentals as well? Yes.
Sorry, can I speak?
Yes, you can speak.
Oh, okay. I wanted to ask if maybe you want to get some inputs from the users. What like how do you ask maybe as polls on social media, like on Facebook, or can you also do surveys, or surveys are too intense? Or I don't know if maybe you can suggest some of the ways which we can use to get inputs from the users.
Right. Yeah, that's a good question there. So for I usually use a Google Forms to capture information from users. So the neat thing that I use Google Forms for is the analytics or the data it allows me to generate after seeing the responses. Forgive me, Trini, I'm using AgriToza here as an example to showcase what I'm talking about here. So, and it's also up to you. You need to understand your user base. People are more inclined to answer multiple choice questions more than when they have to type, or at least include 1 or 2 questions where they have to type. If you want to guarantee that you'll get feedback, If your user base are people, it's a bunch of people that don't mind typing a lot of long answers, and you have to go through all those long answers and to understand where they come from. Set up a Google form. Set up a Google form, you know, and then after setting it up, you can send it. You can send it via their emails. You can send it via Facebook. If you have that Facebook account, yeah, you can take this link and then send it to them, or you can embed this Google form in your website somewhere, and then go to social media and refer your website to a page in your website that contains the Google form. Ultimately, that adds to your marketing and exposure, so people can get exposed to your website and also give you valuable insight if they so choose to interact with your questionnaires or your survey there. So as you get responses, you'll be able to generate analysis and graphs from it. So let me show you from one of these ones that we actually used, and it generated analysis. So here we asked a couple of people about an idea. So this is what it looks like. You'll be able to get these insights. And then for custom responses, you see a list of responses and things like that. So I would say Google Forms is the best way to go. And there's multiple tools that you can search online to use. But the easiest one is definitely this one, because at the same time, upon generating questions, if you are catering for people who are not very tech savvy, but they can read and write, it also allows you to download it as a PDF. So if you go to print here, you can save it as a PDF, so you can print it out and then give to those specific people that you would like them to answer the questions. Yeah. Did I answer your question?
Yes, thanks.
Awesome. Yes, Ms. Nakedi.
Oh, and
yeah.
Yeah, maybe just to add, I've also seen these polls on Facebook pages, which I think they're good to get some feedback from the users as well.
Yes, exactly.
Yes, when you set up a question, maybe with options, answers where users can choose either one or two.
Yeah, those ones are even way more valuable because you get instant answers, meaning that users don't have to go to another place to answer your questions, that they just answer on that Facebook form and you get your data there. So yeah, that's a good idea as well, to utilize as many as if it's an easy tool for you yourself to use as well, it has to be easier for the next person to use as well. So Facebook has made it convenient for people to ask questions and get answers like that, especially for businesses. And if those answers are actually valuable for research. So yeah, utilizing Facebook polls, it's a good idea as well. It's quite good. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. So where I see. Yes. Nakedi, you can answer. Do we have? All right. Let me see.
Hello.
Hi.
Ke a kwagala. Okay. Bekinya ka clarity go bona gore ke diile tsona na thinking and maybe change. Okay, process e ke latelang for solve the problems.
Okay.
Ke nyako lefa yona ke gore ke kgonne o dia ntwe le nyakang na process ya ka be ile ka mokgo. Process ya ka ya o solve solution ya ba so ba se nyaka o tsena ka mo farming be ke di ile ka mokgo be ke rile ke tlo dia something like awareness campaign e bitswane hashtag re tshela peu program ya yona ya tsamaya ka tsela outfit ya bontsha gore farming outfit and then rabale the stakeholders ka invite like lena bo agriculture bo agri-seed le di-graduates as nna ke tshwere indigenous knowledge ke nagana gore ke need a knowledge entši from the academics ka invite the academics di-topics tše re tlo bane re bolela ka tšona ke di-topics tša go tshwana le 3 pillars of climate smart agri, how to protect ozone layer ka mo farming e damage ke eng ozone layer ka mo rena agriculture dilo tša go tshwana le tšeo ba tla ba rute dilo tša go tshwana le gore ozone layer e damage ke eng re ka e protecta jwang. And then he re fetša go be le item e re ne o tla bona le di-tables tša di-celebrities ka gore aim yaka mission wa ka ke go recruita baswa ba ke a tseba gore batho ba nyakane go ba bona ke bomang ke invite di-celebrities tše e le gore di ka ara famine go be le nako e le gore ne di a tlhalosa gore ba tsene bjang ka mo famine e botlhokwa bjane go be le di-tables tše e le gore ne celebrity e nngwe le nngwe e tla be e tlile tša yona o be le item ya di-question and answers o be le feedback e re fetša o tlhalosiwe gore o gain nene and hape re be le di-announcement tša gore next year e tlo tshwarwa bjang follow up re tlo di dia jwang tša go bona gore re kry-ile batho ba ba kae ka mara farming ya mafelelo o be le donation ya di-seeds mo e le gore ne re tla fela re ka kotara re bone gore ba producitše ba ka romela kae go bontšha gore ba busy ba bjala or bjang go fetša o be di-announcement tša event ya rena the next year ke yona thinking and whatever e be ke dia design and thinking e be ke dia ka gore nka motivata baswa bjane ke nanne ka yona hashtag re tšhela peu fase gore nka idea ka ona mokgwano bjale be ke nyoko utlwa gore ke on a right track na ke yona design and thinking ya project ya
design thinking. I know that's quite good. That's quite good. I'll see. Awareness campaigns and exposing them to their favorites, probably their favorite celebrities, and seeing but to motivate them, they are part of what you're trying to build as well. As you are inviting them into the space is relatively very, very important. However, I would also like to emphasize as much as but it's really important to do they care about the information you expose them to, right? Because it's quite easier for you to expose and to spend a lot of time organizing all of this for people who are going to actually make use of the information if they see it valuable for themselves. So it's valuable to expose all of the information that you're exposing to them so that they can at least get closer to answering that question. Do you know what you want to do? Okay, so it's valuable at that. However, it's also valuable for you to also know and understand why do they want to do farming and things like that, because ultimately it will also guide it will also play a role in terms of how you expose these informations to them and stuff like that. So one thing that I'm learning about our education system is that it imposes a lot of information to students. It exposes a lot of information to students. However, some of the students don't even, they do care about the information that they are reading at schools. However, they don't care in a way that the education thinks they should care. So they have their own approaches, they have their own motivations in relationship to why do I want to do farming and things like that. And it's very crucial to incorporate their whys so that they can feel heard, so that it's not always all the time where they have to listen and absorb information. All right. So yeah, that collaboration, that collaborative effort, I would say it can escalate and grow your programs very much, and the impact can actually really be positive because we can have youth that's starting to envision themselves in the business world at a very young age, because now it means that their vision is valuable enough for that, so that it can be heard and applied in your type of a business whereby you're trying to educate people, or where you're trying to educate them into the agriculture space, agriculture and tech space. So yeah, the design thinking is really good. However, I do think I would suggest that you have a Q&A session with them. Let me ask, do you have a Q&A session with them and ask them what is their vision about their lives and what do they see for South Africa in a way, in relationship to farming?
Yes, ke a di dia session like ya mathomo ke a dikolong o thoma ka di-primary o fitlha le bo TVET. Ke a bona ba bantši ba na le passion mara be ba sena something se se ba batametsang gaufi le farming ba bona ba le ko gole le yona e ke thoma ke bolela le bona ke ba tlhalosetsa dilo tsa go tshwana le gore farming e improve-ile o diang ke a bona gore ba na le kgatlhego mara be ba sa tshwere mind jola wa gore go na le bo letlhabula farming ya se mmereko something like e ba sa tshwere mara go ba motivate o ba motivator ke a bona gore ba bantši ba na le go founa ke betse beetroot ke bona idea so kgona go bona gore okay e ra gore every day ke gaina 5 nyana ke a e gaina nka ya sekolong se se itsene e ke boela morago ke a di-kry-a di-call e ke ya sekolong se se itsene ke a di-kry-a di-call ke a bona gore no ba sa sore ba e rate farming a ba kry batho ba e leng ba ba tlhotlheletša ka yona because batho ba e bone le career man a ba e bone le mmereko mo serious.
No, that's good. That's good. I would say your thinking process is on point and it's really valuable. It's going to produce a lot of farmers, and yeah. So what is your vision ultimately with what is your vision with the youth? What would you like them to see as you engage with them like this?
Vision ya ka ko bona re pholosa South Africa ka gore ke a bona re tlo ba mathateng mo e le gore ne technology ya hola dilo di diwa ka technology farming ke ya batho ba baholo ba tlo sa e gona technology o tla bo sana di-paper tša gore ke di-digital no o tla bo sana paper ya gore ngwadiwa ene kae re tlo ba le mathata a tlala o tlo sala o le mafeo ya batho ba šweu batho ba bantsho o sena batho ba ba leng ka gara farming that's why ke ba le worry ya gore ke nyako bona baswa 80% ya baswa ka 2030 ba le gona ka mo farming because dilo ke technology o berekiwa ka technology fela mo e le gore re tlo ba le mathata a tlala o ya go pele climate ba gone batho ba gale ba no fisa mello ba tsenya ozone layer and stuff ba sa o ba tlhalosetsa gore no mello ya tlhaga e damage ozone layer e tlophile ya mashoba dilo tse di so wa thusa gore o bolela le bomane wa botsa gore climate change e causa ke dilo tsana tse di lepisane dikoloi di dia eng le repa dikoloi muso wa dikoloi o dia o kgona go ba tlhalosetsa dilo tsa go tshwana le tseo ba le batho ba gale o ka ba tlhalosetsa gore dikgomo e di eme letšatšing sebaka boloko bola bo to khosa gas e khosa ozone layer o botsa batho ba ba wrong bjalo baswa ke nagana gore go na le bona ka mara farming dilo tse dintsi tse e le gore ne no ke tsona di re khosetsana mathata a di-climate change ke batho ba o tore no o dutse le bona ba ba tlhalosetsa gore ntwe le ska idea so bale batho ba baholo ba no lighta mollo ba tuka ba fisa matlakala ya ga ba bone bothata ba ke
I love that. Yeah, then ultimately I would love to see majority of youth ya rona e gona rana dinto, in the manufacturing, the farming and production, re getsetsa dinto ka mo, because like you said, technology a hola, and technology nowadays is a gona lo save environment. You don't have to destroy the environment as we progress as people, and yeah, no, I would say it's good. Please keep it up. I already see the impacts that you are having, if you're saying that at least 5 of them are responding actively with the information that you're giving them. That's what it takes to see, or to measure the value of what you're trying to impose, or to give them, or to educate on them. So yeah, I would say it's good. It's good, especially those Q&A sessions. Youngsters really like to be heard. It's very crucial.
Yeah,
is there anyone else I would like to ask a question, or yes, Karabo?
I wanted to ask the question when it comes to consistency and innovation.
Right.
I attended the session last year about innovation, when you try to innovate your product and making it better. So I wanted to understand how can you innovate and also be consistent when it comes to the business that you are running?
You innovate and keeping consistent. So say, for example, I am building a smart farm and okay, the first phase, I would just like to have a couple of sprinklers for the system, and I want for people to engage with the sprinklers using the application. So as I engage with my users, and we're building the infrastructure, they're telling me what they would like to see additionally, but they would also like to see some water level measuring systems in there and wada. The consistency comes in where you always provide for people quality equipment and quality products. You know, you keep the quality of your equipment the same. It's not a matter you see how, okay, sharp, or this water level equipment is getting more expensive. One component from the other, they are not inconsistent. They are not consistently providing you quality data or information, or the control is not the same, and things are always breaking, or the water measuring sensor is constantly breaking. It requires replacement every now and then. So innovation, yes, it guarantees growth and a radical change for an idea and a solution. However, the solution itself, remember, if you have a vision for the solution, is what's going to also anchor you to consistency. So, for example, Google is still Google. It's still a data-driven company. As much as they are building it's a phone and what but build a phone, they make devices and things. Yeah. But the watch, the glasses, and they're now into the AI space and stuff like that. But they still staying in terms of being a data-driven company. All the devices that they develop are directed towards generating data and curating that data and providing it to the user when the user uses that Google search bar. So it's not a matter of now Google, but developer AI. And then after developing AI, now it's a separate company. It's now Google 2.0 or something like that. It's still Google. So I would say consistency is it's in that relationship. However, it's still apparent that the idea can evolve and change it to something completely different as time goes. So yeah, it's I would say keeping a balance between those two is quite important. So keep it consistent if you can. However, if it requires a radical change, just make sure that radical change is driven, it's motivated by the data you're gathering, not just your opinion on what you think the idea should go next.
Okay, get it now.
Did I answer your question?
Yes, you did. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Right. Do we have anyone else? Okay. I would like to you guys, I'm gonna send you a poll as well for myself. Now, I would like to help me grade how this session was, and if it was informative or if it was engaging for you. Where do you think I should at least improve and things like that? So after this session, I would really appreciate it if each and every one of you can give me that insight, so that next time we have this session, I know which points to give out that are more relevant to the session. Yeah. Otherwise, this was a great session, guys. if there's nothing else, I think we are done for today. Yeah. Thank you for joining.
Thank you, Pedro.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Taka.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Nakeri. Thank you, everyone.
So
yes.
Before you go, I saw that the chat box was disabled. So I don't know if the information that you wanted to share, can you share it to the WhatsApp group?
Let me see. Okay, on the Google Calendar, I see all of your individual emails. Is it safe if I share the links on your emails?
No problem. That's perfect.
Okay. I'll use your emails. I'll just copy each and every one of your emails and then forward all the content to it. All right.
Thank you so much, Keketo, for a very informative session.
Awesome. Thank you, Trini.
Everybody, thank you for staying on. And I hope this helps you. If you do have questions, please do ask either in WhatsApp or via email.
Thank you, Metweni.
Sharp.
Voice out.
Oh, no, I was in another call earlier.
Okay.
Yeah. Sharp, guys. Bye.
Enjoy your day, everyone.
Sharp, bye.
Bye-bye. Trini, can you please stay behind?
Okay.
Thank you.